We've gone hands-on with the first hour or so of Grid Legends and its single-player story, and you know what? This game is coming together pretty well ahead of its 25th of February release. Here's a few things that we learned about the story and how the game plays in general. Codemasters are building stories into their racing games these days, but where F1 2021 had its Breaking Point story and told this with CGI cutscenes, Grid Legends goes all in on FMV with Driven to Glory. Now, we know that putting real camera footage and real actors into a game has got a less than glorious history, but this is nothing like Red Alert's campy adventure. Instead, it's trying to ape Netflix's Drive to Survive documentary series, which follows the Formula One paddock throughout the year. A big part of capturing this feeling is how the cutscenes were all shot. You've got actors doing their Netflix-style interviews, yes, but then you also have more candid moments with actors on sets with these huge XR screens wrapping around them and projecting digital backgrounds in real time. This is the same technique that was used in The Mandalorian, but it's putting characters on pit walls and in garages instead of on monoclimate planets. Driven to Glory is basically a rookie driver origin story, which is, it's a real staple of the racing game genre. It drops you into the shoes of a complete newcomer and then sees you rise through the ranks. It opens with a huge smash at the season finale, before winding things all the way back to the very start with you, Driver 22, given the opportunity to win the second driver seat at Seneca Racing. They're a team that's in a bit of a pickle with their second driver spot, so maybe you can pick up the slack? You are a characterless void, a blank to self-insert into, but around you are a rich cast of characters, like the under pressure team boss Marcus Addo, your team lead driver Yume Tanaka, and you'll eventually be sparring with rivals like Valentin Mansi, who's played by Sex Education's Shuti Gatwa, and you get to put a smug face to the name Nathan McCain, who comes from the Raven West team. Yep, Raven West are back as always. The handling here feels much better compared to the first time that we went hands-on with Grid Legends. Just like with the 2019 reboot, this is not meant to be a sim racer, but with our first preview, we were playing with the default assists and handling, and they felt a bit overbearing. Over the course of our hands-on time with the single player and this updated build, we were able to dial those settings almost all the way back down, and ramped up the AI difficulty to give a much more noticeable challenge. If you've got a passing familiarity with racing games, we would recommend that you do the same. There are new and returning race types and vehicle classes in Grid Legends, such as elimination races, where the last place racer is knocked out of the event at regular intervals. It's great to have this kind of thing back in the game. There's also some new vehicle types, such as the stadium trucks. These have got a ridiculous amount of suspension travel that I really struggle to get to grips with in my hands-on time here. You will need plenty of skill to tame these beasts, and I kind of feel like you're going to have to get used to them over time. The fewer questions that you ask about the Grid World series, the better. This is a racing series that would never get sanctioned by the FIA today. There's street races on new tracks in London and Moscow where there's spectators right up against the flimsy looking barricades, which, is a video game, they're pretty sturdy. But you're also racing through an industrial shipping yard where there's trailers just jutting out into the track and there's stacked cardboard boxes on apexes. And while we didn't get to see it in this preview, there is multi-class racing where racing trucks will be pitted against tiddly little hot hatches, which is really just asking for a huge smash-up. Still, this is meant to be pretty sensational stuff. The over-the-top racing of Grid 2019 returns. That means that each AI driver has got a generated personality, and that close racing, where you might bump into an opponent a few too many times, can send their simulated blood boiling so that they become your nemesis for this race, pushing harder to race you and running deep into corners and so on. There's also fallibility for the AI here. You can pressure them into making a mistake, there can be big crashes that you need to dodge up ahead, AI can get tyre punctures and engine blowouts and so on. It's really trying to capture the spectacle of real-world racing, but doing so in races that are just 3, 4, 5 laps in length instead of 30 or 60. All in all, Grid Legends feels like it's coming together quite nicely for its release 1 month from now. Driven to Glory leans on a few racing tropes and follows an all too familiar underdog story, but then again, it's a great way of bringing players into the game, whether they're completely new to racing or seasoned veterans that just want a break from the hardcore simulation. And so it showcases the spectacle filled racing and the many different categories that Grid Legends offers. Grid Legends is out on the 25th of February for PlayStation, Xbox and PC. We will obviously have a review around launch, so to catch that, make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell icons and the usual YouTube things, or keep an eye out on the 6thAxis.com. Hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!